this week's episode is sponsored by Helio Gas Detection. Hey everyone, this is Letty for the Smash and Skull Sessions. I'm joined by Tom and Rob from DARKO. How are you guys doing?
Hey, very good, thanks.
Very good, Letty. Thank you. Nice to be
All,
here.
all good to hear. I've been really looking forward to our chat all day.
Same, same.
Awesome. So, to our listeners who haven't heard of you guys before, could you introduce yourself and your role in the band?
I'm on the top of the Zoom call, so well, on my screen anyway. I'll say hello. My name's Tom. I've been the singer in DARKO since 2020.
And my name's Rob, and I am the guitarist from DARKO. And yeah, one of the original members from back in the day.
Awesome. So, Rob, maybe you'll be able to give a bit of insight on this question. How did the band start?
The band started at college when a couple of us were hanging out at the pub, and the old singer from DARKO, Dan, he was wearing a Lagwagon t-shirt, and yeah, it just sparked conversation. I was just like, Lagwagon, I used to love that band. And then we started talking about skate punk and 90s punk and hardcore, and we hadn't actually spoken that much before then, and we just chatted for ages about it and decided that was going to be something we'll try and do. Took us a while to get the band off gigging, but yeah, it was that t-shirt he decided to wear that one day that really sparked it all to go on from there.
Awesome. And Tom, how did you join the band? Had you heard of DARKO beforehand, or?
Yeah, so I'd actually been on tour with DARKO a fair bit prior to joining with my old band Almeida. We'd toured in mainland Europe, all across there, and then Japan as well, and here and there. And basically, yeah, when Dan of Lagwagon T-shirt fame decided to move back to his native Australia, these guys knew me from been mates with them previously, and I believe, as the law goes, Dan had actually recommended me as his replacement. He might take umbrage with that, but yeah, I think I believe that's how it goes. So yeah, they asked me to join around the time of the pandemic when everything was rubbish, and it really put a bit of a spring in my step, and gave me something creative to get my teeth stuck into in that really horrible time. So yeah, that's it's been great thus far.
Awesome. And speaking of creating, the band's new EP Grayscale came out. It's epic, by the way. I really enjoyed listening to it.
Thank you.
It came out in May. How was the recording process for it?
Arduous. Yeah, it was kind of with Grayscale. It's kind of the evil twin of or it's a triplet actually, because there's another EP coming out, but it's like the yang to the yin of the previous record Sparkle, which has a lot of hope and a lot of positivity at the end of some quite long rants, whereas this one was really gnarly and like nihilistic, and there wasn't really much resolve in any of the songs. It was just, we wanted to create a sound that was a lot heavier than previously. So for me, it was like, a lot of shredding my vocals and not treating myself very well, and yeah, putting yourself through a lot of anguish to get to the final product. But I was very happy with it. I know Rob, you were too.
Yeah, I mean, we've been really lucky enough for these two records, Sparkle and Grayscale, to work with a friend, Will Duff, who I feel like is the sixth member of the band, in a way that he's been a fan of the band for a while, and then studied production, and offered to record with us. And because he'd been a fan of the band in the past, and we sit with him and chat with him and kind of hang out, and he seemed to understand the direction, so it was really great to work with him to make the songs come to life in a way that we wanted, but also the input that he had. He really kind of had a synergy with us. But yeah, it was I think it was a good. So in that respect, working with Will, it was cool because it felt comfortable, but the songs are brutal, and yeah, tricky to get under the fingers and tricky to scream through, as Tom says.
But also, like you've as you've put it before, like he isn't just sort of there hitting record. He's helping us literally produce the songs, going, "Oh, do you know what would be better if you've got something there?" Or there's a few bits on the record that are quite identifiable that wouldn't be there if Will hadn't have gone, "Oh, do a little raw there or a little yeah there or something," just to like bridge the gap that make it flow better. And sometimes it's nice to have somebody with that outside influence. When you've heard the song a million times, you don't have that same capacity for hearing things that are improvable about it. So yeah, Will's brilliant.
He provides a fresh set of ears as well.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. And do you guys have a favorite memory from recording the EP? You can give an answer each if you have separate favorite memories.
Might be a moment of silence while I have a think.
A favorite memory from the EP. It was an interesting one because in the past, because of the way that we've recorded and Will's like essentially a neighbor to myself, but doesn't have a set studio, we did it more in bits. So we did it in weekends. Like in the past, when we did Bonsai Mammoth back in the day, we went to a studio and we spent 10 days in the studio recording, whereas Grayscale was had a bit more flexibility, but it was kind of backwards and forwards to different places, which makes it hard to remember exactly the moments. But I don't know, it was quite fun getting everybody in at the end actually and doing some backing vocals, because Tom had laid down awesome vocals and he'd also some of the songs we had made the ideas up with like proxy lyrics, or like lyrics where we'd some of the sessions we'd like I'd read a book just to fill in the gaps, and then Tom took one of the his own ways. I think maybe there was Sparkle more than Grayscale, but not knowing the words. And then as I say, he's very skilled vocalist, he can fit a lot of words in a small space, and then we'd be like, oh yeah, we need some backing vocals on this. And so we had a group of us doing gang vocals, but then got told the list of words that we had to fit into this space, and we were like, what, how do we all make that sound? And that was quite, and that was fun. It's just like a group of mates in the studio screaming the gang vocals. Yeah, I find that was a quite fun part, because you're not just sat there on your own failing to play the parts.
Yeah. For me, I think the first thing that's come to my mind, right? So, like, as I say, this is like a much more heavy record than what we're used to. And I think when you're making metal, sometimes you go for whatever makes you laugh. Is what sounds just so disgusting that it makes you do the stank face.
Why is it this face?
Yeah. That's like the seal of approval for metalheads, right? It's the grimace. So you'll go for something that sounds horrible on purpose, right? But we had kind of a part. We've got a song on the record called Orcs 2, and it's about corporations screwing up the world with their fossil fuels and people turning a blind eye to it. And there's a bit where we used a sample previously on the demo of Greta Thunberg and her famous people are suffering, people are dying, entire ecosystems are collapsing. We're in the middle of a mass extinction, and all you can do is talk about money and eternal growth. How dare you, she says. And we just used that line and her talking over a fast bit, and it sort of dropped out, and it didn't have the same intensity to it. It was kind of cool hearing her voice juxtaposed with the rest of us. But I believe it was Will, our producer, again, who was like, it'd be better if someone was shouting that. And as we've got a guy in our band, Carl, our bass player, who's like got a raucous, like kind of gnarly shout to him. Will's like, what if Carl did it? So Carl goes into the mic room and pretty much lays it down in one take, and we were all just rolling around with laughter, because it's just you've gone from little Greta Thunberg to this absolute beast of a man. Yeah, just screaming out these words that have been, so poignantly articulated with just venom and just anger and with added swearing as well, just to top it all off. So that was probably my favorite part, mostly because I didn't have to do anything.
I think you should send Greta a sound bite of that sample, like get the seal of approval.
Yeah, we were even talking about doing like, superimposing her over the video, so it's like she's going, and yeah, that'd be really funny.
Just with like the clip mouth, like South Park style.
Very much. Yeah, yeah.
That'd be brilliant. How did you come up with the concept of the artwork for the EP? Because it's beautiful.
Oh, wow. That was yeah, that was a journey. Um we because again it had the connection to it we wanted to so there's a third EP coming out beginning of next year, and Sparkle came out before. When we started Sparkle, we had a collection of songs, and which we knew we wanted to release an EP ASAP, but we wanted to make it part of this journey, part of this collection. So it started with Sparkle really, and we found I can't remember which way around it was, but Chris, our other guitarist, found Helena Alpine on Instagram, and we reached out to her because we were like, your artwork's amazing, it's really lovely. It's like it's different to what we've done before, and had like a watercolor uh, painting, but yeah, so we found the artist, and then we conceptualized the idea of based on Tom's lyrics, which is the metamorphosis subject matter, and coming out as a learned person, and metamorphosizing over going through trauma, um, taking that, I guess, to the literal sense, and you looking at the moths. It was either between the moths and the butterfly metamorphosizes, but the Atlas moth had the snake, or has wings that the tips of the wings look like snake heads, and it's a huge
Mm.
moth anyway. But the prey would see the snake heads rather than the insect, and then be like, "Oh, actually, I'm not going to go near that. That looks dangerous." So it's like it's making itself look scarier, but and hiding under that. But whilst also being this beautiful specimen. Now we had the front of the moth there, and the cocoon on the first one. So we wanted to still follow from that, whilst also reflecting, or having something that fits with the grossness of Grayscale. Grayscale is like more angry, more grim. So we tried loads of, yeah, we kind of storyboarded loads of ideas, and until I think, Tom, you found like this rotten apple type
Mm.
imagery, I think. Um, and then it was from that kind of decaying apple, and then the decaying of like, all right, okay, so this is quite a dark and eerie imagery. How do we connect that back? And so I thought it would be a nice idea to then have the caterpillar of the Atlas moth feeding on the decay of the apple. So that huge, really awesome looking bug on it is the caterpillar, or the pupae version of that Atlas moth.
That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
it reflects birth and death and the cyclical nature of it, with the live things eating on the dead and the dead things um, being dead. It's yeah, yeah. I really like it. There's also you mentioned snakes as well. There's a lyric in the first in Sparkle, in Orcs 1 that says sharing air with snakes begets a snake bitten state of mind. And yeah, it was just kind of, I guess, utilizing that imagery as well.
Dropping
Yeah.
all the lore.
Mm. Yeah, nice to. I mean, we struggle to make decisions, so we just try and cram as much of the lore in as possible, I suppose. Mm.
Why not?
Yeah,
You can both give an answer for this as well. If you could collaborate with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be?
that is a toughie. Dead or alive.
And it doesn't have to be for Darko, it could just be for your own personal kind of gratification.
Oh, that's awesome. That I feel like if I was going to say it in a snap answer, which has to happen because otherwise I'll go down a rabbit hole of
Yeah,
there's too
yeah.
many people there. is mine would be Dave Brubeck.
Who's Dave
Uh,
Brubeck?
Dave Brubeck, he wrote Time Out with Take Five on it. That record was just like the first time well, as far as I see it, the first odd time signatures in pop music, because jazz was pop music at the time, and he did a 5/4 song, he did a 7/8 song, and it's like it was prog. It was jazz, but he's just like, he's doing prog stuff. And then I think that for me, when I heard that as a kid, like all the sometimes Take Five could be like, oh my God, it's everywhere, it's on all these adverts. But like that guy was pushing boundaries back then. I don't think I would be able to collaborate with him, because I think if I was in a room, I'd probably be like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah,
not working here." It would take me a while to get through the spooked out there. But yeah, that'd be awesome. That's my first answer.
I think for me, Bjork probably. Just is it Björk? Bjork,
Bjork, I
Bjork,
think.
Bjork. I think we say Bjork, and other countries would say Björk. Yeah, but she's unbelievable. I know, like Knock Loose have just done that collaboration with Poppy. I kind of envisioned it would be something like fairly disgusting, similar to that. Bjork was in a punk band in her early stages of her career as well. But just yeah, as far as influence goes, as far as like doing things you didn't know were possible with your voice, and just a level of dedication to creating just weird noises, even if it's barely listenable. I really respect that, and I think yeah, that would be mine.
If you look at it, she's kind of like a pioneer for like noise music.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a
100%.
great answer. I'll be up for that. Let's do it.
Drop that email.
We have, come on, Bjork, make this happen. Please. So Darko is a pretty cool name. Is there a story behind it?
Wow. Yes. It's arguably underwhelming compared to. There's a few connections that we did have, which we again the law came afterwards. But no, the it was Donnie Darko. I had a DVD in my room, and we were at uni at the time. The band had started coming together. We sat like with a laptop out, just writing down lists of names, and then Darko came up, and it was kind of like a snap one. It was just like it kind of worked for dark, it's dark evil music, but it's got the O at the end, and it's kind of that lighter edge. And at the time, we were definitely a bit more like tongue-in-cheek punky than the more darker metal side. But we were still doing the metal influence. Love the film. Film's cool. So yeah, and then it kind of stuck, and we found that friends and family remembered the name. Sometimes we'd be in bands and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, how's that? What are you called again?" But
Yeah.
everybody seemed to remember what we were called. So yeah, that went, and it turns out there was a Slick Shoes song called Darko. So people in the punk scene thought we'd named ourselves after a similar sounding fast band from the 90s. But it wasn't true. But sometimes you can say, yeah, cool, if you want that connection.
I
Um,
remember I met you the first time, and I was like, "Are you named after that song?" And you're like,
oh,
"No."
really?
Yeah, yeah.
I then went and listened to the song because I'd never heard of Slick Shoes or Darko because and we played in Eastern Europe, and a lot of people's uncle were called Darko as well. So
Yeah.
that's great. You could sell some t-shirts with like, it's got my name across. I'll get that. Yeah, brilliant.
I was telling my mom because I tell her about on my interviews. I was like, "Yeah, I'm interviewing this band called Darko," and she goes, "Oh, are they named after Johnny Darko?"
Oh,
Johnny
damn.
Darko.
I was like, "I don't know who
Johnny
Johnny Darko is." This actually leads on to I was banking you'd be named after Donnie Darko, but this leads well into my next question. Do you have a favorite Jake Gyllenhaal movie?
I
Well,
Brokeback Mountain recently, and that was pretty good. Um,
I always forget he's in that.
hmm.
I mean, like, again, a quick answer would probably be Donnie Darko because I think it's so unusual, and I don't even know what other films he's been.
What other films has Jake Gyllenhaal been in?
He was in that
Uh,
Roadhouse recently, that really bad movie with Conor McGregor in it.
Oh, to be fair, I need to watch that to decide maybe that is my new favorite film. But yeah, it potentially doesn't look like it.
I saw Nightcrawler actually. That blew me away. That one's a really good movie.
Hmm.
I've
This
heard
might be
very good things.
Prisoners, Southpaw, The Covenant, Spider-Man. Oh yeah, he's in Spider-Man. Jarhead, The Day After Tomorrow. I think I'm gonna stick with Johnny Darko for now.
I don't think The Day After Tomorrow was a very good film.
We
So
watched it in science and no one knew what it was about.
science.
Yeah.
There's a bit. There's. I think they take the piss out of it in South Park, where like global warming is chasing them, and then they just close a door and it stops. And it's like, okay,
Brilliant.
bad
Um,
science.
do you guys have any favorite album releases of 2024 so far, or any that you're looking forward to? Again, you can both give an answer each.
Uh, yes, but I'd have to. I even make a Spotify playlist so that I've got this list on me. But I'm just going to disappear for 30 seconds and then over to you, Rob.
Uh, music. Crash. I'm just logging into mine now.
We played with a band in Canada recently called the Speakeasy, and they were kind of that was one of my favorite records of the year thus far. They've kind of done a double EP into an album, and it's kind of I'm not usually into that more sort of mid-tempo gruff side of the punk scene, but they mix it very, very well with the fast stuff, and it doesn't ever sound uh, trite or cliche. It's quite dynamic and passionate, so I really like that. Um, there's a band called Fabled Mind, who Rob put out on Lockjaw Records earlier this year, I believe, and that's a really good progressive metal influenced skate punk album as well.
I think that was last year.
Was it now?
Yeah. Was it this year? It's June. Yeah, no, that was last year.
Ah,
Time
okay.
has flown past. That
Uh,
last year.
yeah. New Bayside record. Bayside, a very underrated like hard rock band, I guess. They kind of get lumped in with a lot of really shite bands from around that time, but they're
Yeah, that's where I know them from, just being like lumped
yeah.
in, yeah.
You just did the grimace and not in a good way, but no, honestly, they're kind of more in that Coheed and Cambria, the Deer Hunter kind of vibe, bit
They're
less
all
arty and
they're
proggy, but
always on my like list to check out, and I just never get around to them.
I think you should. Yeah, they have big bangers, great hooks, really good riffs, great songs, and I think yeah, they're a very underrated band.
I'll become a fan now. I'll just comment, Tom from Darko sent me.
Yeah, I hope you will. Judas Priest had a good record, or little bits and bobs. Not really my bag. Whenever I've listened to Judas Priest in the past, I've kind of gone this recording sounds shit because it was done in the 80s or the 70s. But yeah, quite enjoyed that one.
I've really been jamming out Neck Deep's new album that came out in January.
Oh, cool. Yeah. We played with I think I played with them like in a small club like when they were first coming out and then yeah, it's mad to see how big they've got. But yeah, fair play to them. I don't think I've actually listened to their new album. I'll check it out. Um Callous Boys, Audio Tree. They're a mad band. Really good.
Yeah, they're like tech metal with a violin, right? It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, this, I feel like I've been very unorganized at putting my this year's albums
Yeah,
into.
same. I basically, if you ask me in around January what my favorite records of last year were, then I've got like hundreds because I've just gone through and like caught up on all the ones I've missed out on. Quite obsessive over it. Actually, I'll go through like, I'll find all the magazines like top 100 albums of the year, just chuck them all into a big playlist and then just have them on rotation as I'm doing the washing up or something, and then just sort of find stuff that appeals to me.
I
Uh,
do a similar thing.
yeah.
There's a YouTuber called ARTV. He does the same thing and does like top 40 albums of the year. I'm like, cool, I have to check this out.
Yeah. Um, there's a band called Loveline, from Germany. Very, very good, like post-hardcore. They sound great. Ichras from the UK and Palestine. Shout out to them. Little Sims has got a new record. Haven't listened to all of that yet, but what I've heard of it thus far was really good. I'm running out of ideas though. I haven't really. Yeah, yeah.
That's okay. Any more to add, Rob?
This that reminds me, I've got to check out my I've got to check out what's happening this year. Um, there must be no.
That's okay.
I'll prepare it better next time. But yeah, I think oh, the core we toured with in Canada, their albums pretty banging. They actually did literally release that record this year. I get confused what's last year and this one. So the core spelled CORPS. For fans of fast punk and like Nose for Naming No Effects and stuff like that. Great
Yeah,
band, great energy. And out of nowhere, like a full length album, smash and grab out. People don't do that anymore, but they did it, and you got the whole album straight up.
yeah. No, they're excellent as well. There's an artist called Jariah, Jharih, and they've just put out a album, and it's kind of very influenced by like it's a mix of like System of a Down and My Chemical Romance, over the top kind of theatrics and
That is some combo.
bit of Sinatra. It's just yeah, it's a total over the top. I think a mess, but in a really good way, I think.
Awesome. Loads and loads of recommendations there. I'll have to definitely, while I'm
Yeah,
editing, write all these down.
let us know what you dig.
I will for sure. And we're on to our last question. Do you have any advice for anyone wanting to start a band in 2024?
Just do it. It's but also don't expect it to be a good financial venture. If you're looking to find you know a rock career, probably don't play skate punk.
Yeah, I think if you've got the opportunity to be in a band, I don't think I would recommend doing anything else because my whole career now and pretty much my whole life, apart from, chilling out, is based around music. And I built that because when I was 14, I was lucky enough to have a couple of people in my school who wanted to be in a band. And I was playing music beforehand, but it wasn't until I was in a band I was just like, whoa, standing in a room and making a noise, whatever noise that is, it could be, in the ears of the beholder, it could sound terrible, but to you, whatever
Hmm.
noise you're making in a room with like other people and you're working together to make that music, there's nothing, absolutely nothing that compares to it. And as Tom says, yeah, it can be financial challenges. You spend a lot of money doing it, you travel far to do it, but and do practice on an evening when you're knackered, you feel like, oh well, I don't know why I'm doing this. You get into the room once you've started playing the songs, there's an unparalleled feeling that I can't compare to anything else. Where I'm like, that's why I do it. This is awesome. Like, especially when yeah, and then you're lucky enough to years later be playing with very talented musicians, which I'm very blessed to say that I do like getting in the room and playing with people and recording with people and then going, oh, I've done this and be like, whoa, and like being shocked because your bandmates are like outdoing you for ideas and you're just like, this is really awesome. So as much as, uh, yeah, a lot of time on the road, crappy meals and money spent, there's nothing like it. There's
Yeah,
nothing like it.
I
You can
shouldn't have
put
started on something so negative because there are so many good things about playing in a band. Even Rob and I together have traveled the world. We've seen stuff we never would have, you know, been able to see, even dreamed of seeing if we weren't doing what we do and meeting people. They're not um, absolutely like packed arenas, but you turn up to venues and people know your band, know your songs. We toured Canada for the second time earlier this year, and people knew not only the old songs but the brand new ones that we'd only just released and singing the songs back to you. And that's when you've spent that time um, soul searching and writing something that means a lot to you, to hear it being sung back at you, that's really special. But it's also important that you don't get bogged down in doing it perfectly either, because sucking at something, as they say, is like the first step to being kind of all right or something. Um, and I think if you just go, oh no, that's no good, that's no good, that's no good, you end up beating yourself up and you don't ever get anything done. And I think, learn why it's not good and then do it again and do it better and better and better until you're happy with it. And create art, because we need more of it, and we need more of it from lots of different voices. So if you're ever feeling like you don't belong in a band and you don't have any musical talent, just play punk, because it doesn't need any. It's
What
important we hear these voices more than anything.
one chord will get you through.
Yeah, yeah. Get your band's manage on it.
Rob, anything else to add?
No, I think I said it, like if you're going to do a band, make sure you do, and make sure you're writing music that you want to write as well. Don't start off trying to write music to please anybody else, because I don't think it's not, it doesn't have longevity. You have to enjoy writing what you're writing. And it has, yeah, and then if it comes from heart, people will believe in it.
Yeah, if you write something that's true to yourself and people like it, then it will live longer than you will. And that is the show Westworld, where Ford talks about, like, when great composers die, they just become music. When you talk about Beethoven now, you don't talk about the man, you talk about the compositions. And that's kind of nice. I always like that idea of, yeah, becoming the art. So you want
That's
to leave some, you want to leave your what you want to be remembered for. So
comes full circle.
yeah, don't skimp on it.
Exactly. Rob, Tom, thank you so much for taking the time out your evening and talking with me.
Our pleasure.
Thank you very
Nice to
much.
meet you.
No
Yeah,
problem.
it's-
And Grayscale is out now.